hit the recording button. So Hildegard says that the green color is basically the term viriditas. And viriditas, it's I would say, the power of the nature hidden that is causing everything to bloom. So it's like
Mhm.
it's the type of power that will help the trees to bloom and then go to sleep again. So it goes into earth, the viriditas, and comes back. So that's I would say, perpetual power of the nature that comes out and hides in wintertime.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we should be following also. You're the only one coming to the meeting. Okay. Last time there were like 7 people or something.
Yes.
Okay, let's start. We'll put them in presentations. Are there any questions from the last presentations that we had?
No. Well,
No?
actually, is there?
Yeah?
I don't know. I've gotten quite interested in using food as a healing thing. I've changed from I don't eat meat anymore.
Okay.
Um, Mostly don't. And I'm finding that I've got so much more energy. And I just thought, wow, it's time to look into Hildegard. I've always been fascinated by her. And
Mhm.
is so. Is there a book that you would recommend that talks about how she thinks about herbs and healing?
Yeah, the book that I mentioned in the first part, there was the Physica book. You remember it?
Yes, that
I
one.
can,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I cannot show it to you because Zoom will block everything what I will
Right.
show.
Yes.
You see
Yeah.
here, like it will just blink for a little while.
Uh-huh.
That the That's the only one I know that is written in English.
Okay.
And
I'll try to find that. Yeah.
yeah, you will find it. I guess you will find it in Amazon for sure, or someplace in a bookstore if you don't want to buy it through Amazon, or look
Uh-huh.
for places. Or what you might do, also check out the Amazon and then check out the sellers. And sometimes the sellers are a huge bookstore, so you don't have to order directly through Amazon if you don't want to. You can order directly through them if you want to support someone else than Amazon, you know.
Okay, great.
Or look at some, yeah, or you can look at also in the used books. You
Oh, that's
know,
a good idea. Yeah.
yeah, I usually check out just to support those places to survive. So I always check out first those places, and then if I cannot find anywhere, then my last chance is the Amazon. But
Okay.
I try to support also other businesses, so not only Amazon. I know it's the
Okay.
easiest way. Anyway, so
Okay.
this is a nice book that will give you introduction into
Mm-hmm.
the topic. Um, and it's actually it's not very simple to read. One cannot read like 10 pages per day. Maybe you go 2, 3 pages per day max. And just to, it's the language there is not that easy to understand, and I'm trying to help you to understand the language we'll be going over today,
Okay.
the subtilitas. So
Uh-huh.
in the last lesson, we are talking about the book, as I said, about the physica, and we are talking about the subtilitas, about the healing power hidden in the food. And so that's the way how we can actually, how do we negatively impact our body? We do it through the diet, as you mentioned, that you stop eating meat and you feel much lighter, much better. It's a one way to do to be fully vegan. And we should be avoiding food that has negative subtilitas. There are actually foods that Hildegard mentions that do not support our body in positive ways nor in neutral ways, rather negative ways. It's interesting, it's a leek, so as a vegetable, it doesn't bring us any good subtilitas.
Hmm.
It's pork, actually. As a meat, I will be talking about it in the coming session. It's also certain fruits that people would say, I'm not going to give them up. It's a plum fruit because plum tree is a tree of anger, she writes in her book, and do not have positive subtilities for us. So, and also peaches are not that good, and strawberries. So those are, I would say, five of the top fruits and veggies and meat that we should be avoiding in our diet, especially those people that do have any type of uh, problem with their health. So any joint problem or anything else. So their body cannot cope with that very well. So that's why they should avoid it. Also, we should be avoiding processed sugar. Soda doesn't do any good to us. And also with fruits, we should be kind of careful because Hildegard, when she talks about the food, that she says that we should not be eating raw food at all. So
Mm,
you can eat the fruits also, but in the amount of discretio, meaning the right amount, not that you sit down, and you eat 1 kilo of apples, maybe just take one apple and that's it. And then when you open the book, you will find there is a description of the apple, how you should eat it. So healthy people, for example, they can handle fresh apples, but the ones that have some kind of health issues, they should rather eat cooked apples. That's better for them to digest them.
mm,
Little sleep and movement. Both of them do have impact on our body. Also, Hildegard writes about it. So it means that you should be following your own discretio. For example, in sleep duration, I need about 7 to 8 hours. My husband only needs about 6. He always complains that I'm a late sleeper and I need more sleep. That I sleep too much. So you should. How do you know that you have enough sleep, or it's your own discretio? You will find out that your body will automatically wake up after certain hours, and that's the amount of sleep that you need. And you feel that you are recharged, that you slept well, and everything else around it. That's your own discretio. So some people, like my husband, they just need 6 hours. Some of us need maybe 7, 8, 9, 10. Also, with the movement, what Hildegard says, the best for us to move is after dinner, a short 15-minute walk. What actually I do follow certain people on the internet, and there was a lady that is saying that the modern research found out that if we, after eating a meal, just sit for 5-10 minutes and then do some exercise, we will help our body tremendously by basically turning the energy, the sugar spikes, and we will level them out with the movement. So also the modern science starts to recommend movement after eating. During the medieval times, we need to understand that usually people had a chance to eat only once or twice a day, not more, because there was not enough food. So usually there was some kind of light breakfast, and maybe in the middle of the day they had some kind of lunch, dinner type of thing. So that's why Hildegard doesn't write after every meal you should be moving. She just writes after the dinner because that was usually the proper meal of the day, the
uh-huh,
big one. If you, for example, torture our body with working in cold or hot environment, we should be doing it for long hours, or overworking our body does hurt us. And also, Hildegard, what she says is the mental state. So her concept of body and soul is also written in the book, but it's in a different book than the Physica book. And you will see it. She talks about the vices and virtues, and there are 35 pairs. So that's the world of our soul that impacts our body. That's what we should be thinking about. Okay, this is how I think, how I treat people, how I treat the world around me will reflect in the health of my body. That's what she says. From modern point of view, we can say it's also the clothing, because the clothing covers our skin, and it's also the toxic environment. So it's also, you should be looking at your washing, what you're using as a when you in your dishwasher, also all your cleaning utensils, because everything what you put in a dishwasher will come on your plate, and you eat from the plates. And also your skin is the biggest organ of your body. It's about 2 square meters big. So if you keep, I would say, um, harming your skin by using, for example, some kind of cosmetics with some kind of chemicals, then you're hurting your body. Everything goes inside your body and your body needs to process it. So your liver needs to process it, your kidneys, your stomach, and everything else. So this is how people can, over time, over a longer period of time, can really hurt their bodies. But how do we support our body on the other hand? So we choose the food that has a positive or neutral subtilitas. That's very important. We find the right amount of sleep that we need to. Also, the exercise for us is very important because we are not like the people in the medieval times when they were moving around a lot. We usually have the sedentary job that we sit and then we move just a little bit to the car and back. So try to find possibilities to move yourself also in an office. Don't take the elevator, take the staircase. In my office, we have 23 floors, so I
Mm.
usually go like 10 floors up, 10 floors down, just to move my body a little bit during the working hours. If I need to change the, if I need to go and see a colleague someplace, then I just use the staircase. So the work, there should be a life-work balance. That's what Hildegard says and writes in her book that this has a tremendous impact on our body. Little sugar. So you should be using or preferring natural sugars. The natural sugars are usually the fruits, the veggies, everything there. So just try to stop using the regular white sugar uh, during the transition period. Of course, you can be using the brown sugar if you want to, but you try to cut on the amount of sugar that you usually eat. We should be also cultivating the virtues, as I said before, so virtues and vices. So, for example, there are, I'm not going into this topic very deep, but if someone identifies in his behavior, okay, I'm always envious, then he should be working on getting rid of that vices, of that vice basically, and turn it into a virtue. So stop doing it and kind of transform into a more into a type of person that really wants the best for the others and doesn't care what the others in terms of the you know hate or anything else envy has. So follow the personal discretio every time, so not overdoing anything. That's very important how we can, in general, support our body and our life. How Hildegard's natural remedies work compared to pills. We have to understand one important thing that pills, they do take effect within few hours, but the natural remedies address the cause and the treatment might take several, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes a year. Hildegard says, or writes in her book, that the person heals only if God wants him to be healed.
Mm.
So it might happen that you might be taking natural remedy of Hildegard. Actually, they are very effective. I have done many treatments for my family and friends, etc. But certain people never get rid of their illness just because God wants them maybe to change their attitude, to change their energy, to turn the vices into virtues. So it's never, I would say, if the treatment, if the herbal treatment is not successful, one should be looking into other parts of his life. So that's what I wanted to say, actually. And now we start with the healing food. One of them is the quince. Quince is a wonderful fruit. On the right side, there are two types that you can find on the market. I don't know if you can find some in Berkeley, if you do have quince.
We must have, yeah.
Okay, so these are the two basic types you will find there. One is in the shape of pear, and the other one is the shape of apple. So both of them are good and both of them are wonderful to eat, but they are very hard when you try to cut them. And Hildegard writes about the quince the following. Its fruit is warm and dry and has a good mixture in it. And when it's ripe, it does not harm when eaten raw for sick or healthy person, but cooked or roasted, it is very valuable for sick or healthy person. It's an excellent quince is an excellent remedy against gout. Gout is a type of disease in human body, especially people that get older. They get all this ache in their maybe spine, joints, bones, and everything else. It's basically um, she describes it. There are many descriptions of gout in Hildegard, but basically the person does not feel healthy in terms of his movement or skeletal bones and everything else, joints, bones, and there's also your how to say that correctly, your fingers might get swollen very often. Your toes might,
Arthritis?
yeah,
Mm,
it's kind of a general, I would say, description of gout. But she
uh-huh.
doesn't write about the arthritis, but certain authors or certain doctors in Germany think that gout also encompasses arthritis and everything,
Mm,
I would say illness connected with our skeletal and joint issues. So this is very interesting. Quince is actually very nice. I use it very often. I have one tree in my husband's garden,
uh,
and actually you can make a jelly out of it. It makes a wonderful jelly. You can make what else I do make? Actually, they do also eat it in Spain. It's called quince cheese, but it's actually not a cheese. It's a
mm.
very thick jelly
Oh,
made
yes.
made with sugar,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's very sweet. So that's why usually you take just a little bite of it. And in actually in Spain, what they do, they eat this extremely sweet jelly, just a piece of it, just a small kind of square or something, and they eat it with cheese. That is
Yes.
very difficult. That is very hard. So it's a manchego cheese. It's called, and this combination is wonderful in terms of the taste. But if you get a hold of quince, then I definitely recommend that you try it out the fruit. Also, you can be eating it raw. It has a very, I would say, it's like a little bit like a sour apple.
Mm,
But I usually cook a compote out of it. So I cook the quince. I cut it into small pieces and I cook it with cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg. And my family loves it, but we are partially without sugar. So if you cannot stay away with sugar, just use the sugar and just cook a nice compote for yourself. So it's a nice way how you can use the quince. And it's actually, it has a very long shelf life, at least the ones that I get in my garden. And also it has a very distinct smell, very, very pleasant. And in the old times, people used to have it as a, I would say, they put it inside a closet just to make it so because the scent of the quince is very nice, just to make the closet smell like quince. In the old times, like my grandmother used to do it very often. So try it out if you get a chance. Today we'll be deep diving into the grain, into spelt, because Hildegard is very well known for spelt or spelt diet. And I will read this part from Physica book, and then we'll break it down into pieces so you understand what she wrote there. In a Physica book, you will find the following description. The best grain is spelt. It's hot, rich, and strong. It is finer than other types of grains. Eating it will repair the flesh and supply the right blood. It also creates a happy mind and gives joy to human disposition. In any way it's consumed, whether in bread or in other foods, it's good and easy to digest. So you see, there is a wonderful description and we'll breaking down step by step. She writes, spelt is hot. In real life, this feature means that if someone has poor blood circulation, like I used to have, eating spelt will bring relief after a while, and the person will not have cold hands and feet.
Mm.
So it will actually, spelt is hot. It's also the description of the energy. So it will not cool you down. It will bring you the right energy that your body needs. Spelt is rich. Spelt is rich in vitamins and minerals, which are essentials for our nervous system. And these minerals and vitamins help our nervous system to function properly. And you will notice that after, like, as I said before, after 2 weeks of eating spelt, like 2 tablespoons a day is enough, you will feel the difference. Spelt is warm. It brings good and natural energy to our whole body, not only to muscles, but also to ligaments, internal organs, and it supports every part of the body. That's the good thing about spelt. Furthermore, spelt is finer than other types of grain. Um, well, every time you eat spelt products, regardless of whether it's made with white or whole wheat flour, you will experience a pleasant taste. It does have gluten, but the gluten in spelt is you can actually, the gluten will dissolve in water. So even though there is a gluten in a spelt, when you, for example, cook or bake, no, when you bake with it, like you will be trying to make a cake, and before you were using the normal wheat flour, and now you start using the spelt flour, you will see the difference that the cake will not rise as high. That's due to the gluten. The gluten in spelt, when you are adding water or any type of liquid, will partially dissolve in the liquid. So it's never like, don't expect the same baking results with spelt compared to regular wheat, please. That's very important to say. Eating spelt will repair your flesh. Spelt actually has a kind of a magical ability to keep your weight in the right spot, meaning that it supplies the body with the right energy to function well. And what has to be followed is the discretio. So not eating too much, not eating a little, just the right amount. Over time, you will find the right amount of spelt that you need to eat. And usually I go for like 5 tablespoons, 4 or 5 tablespoons of cooked grains. Like when the tablespoons are very full, are enough, for example, for me when I'm creating some kind of vegan food or something. It gives the body the right blood. This is a very interesting what Hildegard wrote when you kind of process it in your head, like 900 years ago. She wrote that spelled nutrition helps the body maintain proper blood. Yeah. When you look into modern science, you will find out that the pH of the blood is about 7.4. When it goes down to 735, the blood gets acidic, and it's 745, then the blood is alkaline. So our body every time is trying to keep it 7.4. So the spelled, actually, as Hildegard wrote 900 years ago, it helps your body. It gives the body the right blood. So meaning it's the grain is so valuable that it can help to keep the 7.4 pH of our blood. And it is very interesting because I have never seen anything like this written in any herbal book, only in Hildegard. And this is the subtilitas of the spelled grain.
That's really interesting. I've only heard about the acidity and the pH balance in urine, not in blood.
Also, the blood has it. Actually,
It's interesting.
when people do eat a lot of sugar, so what happens in our body, the sugar enters your body, and your body has to regulate the sugar levels and everything else, but it also has to keep the blood safe so it doesn't get acidic from the sugar. What your body does, it will go into your bones, it first into your teeth, it will take out the calcium and every mineral that it needs to alkaline the blood.
Well,
So that's why a lot of people that kind of eat a very bad diet that doesn't support their body with nutrients and all the minerals that the body needs, like the very tiny micro minerals that you need, then their teeth might go wrong, well, turn bad. Well, spelt creates a joyful mind. You will notice after a while of eating spelt that your mind will be shifting direction happiness. You will feel more relaxed. That I must say from my own experience. It does have a lot of vitamin B, all kinds. So it does support our nervous system when we look into the science. But what spelled has is the amino acid. It's called tryptophan, and tryptophan
Mm.
is the prerequisite to creating serotonin in our brain. And serotonin, when our brain produces enough serotonin, then we are happy. And that's very interesting also. The
How
last
do you,
sentence, yeah,
sorry, how do you eat the spelt? You talk about eating 3 or 4
yeah,
tablespoons.
you can cook the whole grains. You can you can use the flour, high quality flour, while you for baking, for cooking, so for creating any type of food that you like. Or well, I use all the spelt products that are available in Germany. There's also what they do with the grains. They kind of brush them and they break them a little bit down, and they create, it's called the spelt rice. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take you 30 minutes to cook the spelt grains. It takes you only 15 minutes to cook the spelt grains. Or
Mm.
what they do, they crush it in like small pieces, and it's like a very thick semolina, and you can cook a morning porridge out of it, or you can create other foods out of it. So there are always ways how you can incorporate spelt into your diet. For example, when I'm cooking a soup, then I add the spelt flakes into the soup, and then I mix it up if I don't have the high quality flour. There are ways
Yes.
how you
Uh-huh.
can
Uh-huh.
there are ways how you can do it.
Uh-huh. But would you cook the
Mhm.
grains like you cook oatmeal and for breakfast or?
Yeah, you can soak the grains for 12 hours in the water, and then you can cook them
Uh-huh.
in a pressure cooker. Actually, if you have a pressure cooker, I don't know if you do.
I do.
Yeah, then it takes like you basically soak them for 12 hours, and then you pressure cook them. You just let it rise, and then just turn it off, and it
Mm.
will just, with the decrease of the pressure, it will cook the grains.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't take that long, maybe. Yeah. So in any way it's consumed, whether in bread or in other foods, it's good and easily digestible. So spelt has a universal use in our kitchen. You could be using, as I said, flour, whole grain, semolina, spelt rice, spelt coffee. Even is produced in Germany. I make a spelt coffee for myself at home. You just kind of, yeah, I use a pan or I use the oven where I kind of get the spelt grains very brown, and then just let them sit, and then I cook them, and you can get a nice dark coffee out of the spelt if you like to also. So the long-term use of spelt will bring you the following. It's a better immunity. It's a well-functioning and nourished body and internal processes. It will bring you the mood improvement. You will be like sunshine, I must say. Stronger nerves, better sleep. Your digestion will improve because you will get, I would say, more fiber into your diet. The bowel process will improve, especially after consuming whole grains and whole grain semolina. So you'll be going regularly to the toilet if someone has a problem with it. And here are the 4 types of spelt that are not genetically modified. These 4, the Oberkulmer Rotkorn, Bauender Spelz, Ebner Rotkorn, Aroter Tiroler, are the 4 types of Asian spelt that are still available on the market that I recommend to buy if you plan to use the spelt products and eat them. I think I have a list of maybe some farms in US that produce them. So if you are interested, just send me an email and I will email that to you, the farms you may check out.
Okay, good. Thanks.
You're welcome. Just send me an email. So that's all for today. Any
Okay.
questions?
No, I'm just interested in the whole spelt thing. For a while, I was, um, what was it called? It was a recipe a German friend gave me for making bread with spelt, and it was the heaviest bread. It was just, it was like a
Yeah,
brick. But it was delicious. It was delicious. But
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it, it was to bake that here. I had to go to all these specialty stores because it had all sorts of special things besides the spelt that you had to find to bake this bread, and then you wound up with a brick. It was I did it for quite a while, and then I think when I ran out of the spelt flour, I just sort of stopped. But
Okay. Just start very simple with the spelt bread. Just get a nice white spelt flour
uh-huh.
because Hildegard says everything made from spelt is positive for us. It doesn't matter if it's a whole wheat or it's a white flour. So just get the white flour and just make a regular white bread with yeast,
Hmm.
and you will see. You know,
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if you made the sourdough or you made the regular one.
I
How
made this German recipe, the brick recipe.
and was it sourdough or was it not
No, I
sourdough?
don't think so. It
You don't
was
think so?
no.
Okay. Because usually I don't know, yeah, at the beginning, like 15 years ago when I started with spelt or using spelt and baking the spelt bread, yeah, I had a brick also. So don't worry about it. There's sometimes bricks. Yeah, it's better to start, when you want to bake the bread, it's better to start with the white flour, get used to it, and then later on maybe replace like half white and half whole wheat, because the whole wheat is usually very like heavy, and sometimes it takes more time for the dough to kind of rise. Maybe it takes
Yes.
like when you take the white flour, it will take you maybe 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, depending on the season, temperature, everything else. But with whole wheat flour, it will take you double the time, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours.
Mhm.
So when you wait until it rises very well and then you bake it, it's wonderful.
Yes. Smells wonderful.
Yeah, it smells wonderful.
Yeah.
So it needs a little experiment sometimes. So that's like life, you know?
Yes. Right.
Experimenting every day.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
wonderful.
thank you. I'm so glad you're doing this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Any more questions? Because we have 4 minutes left and it will just shut us down the Zoom. So I won't be able to answer your questions.
No, it
So,
was mostly, my question was mostly how do you cook the spelt to just eat it plain, spelt
mhm.
grains, but
You
you
can,
answered that.
yeah, yeah, you can create a nice risotto with using the spelt.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So you can use it in your basically in a soup, also with the veggies.
Uh-huh.
When you cook it very well for a longer time, it will just the grain itself like will open up. It will split. It will be just very soft. So you
Hmm.
can also add it as a into your soup. What else? You can create tortillas or not the real one, or some kind of tortilla like uh, you know, tortillas we're using the spelt flour I usually do
Hmm.
for my kids. So you can bake, salty or so and sweet if you like to.
Do
So
they ever,
yeah,
sorry, do they ever, have you found sprouted spelt?
I never tried. Oh, actually, once I tried sprouted spelt. Actually, I liked it because it was sweet.
Yeah.
Every time something is sprouting, the energy is there, and usually it's the sugar energy in
Hmm.
the grains. So usually it tastes sweet,
Uh-huh.
and sweet is our first taste experience, I would say, in life because the buttermilk is sweet. So
Uh-huh.
that's why we love it so much.
Yeah.
That's why we crave basically the sweet taste because we just grew up on the sweet taste. The buttermilk is sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, I always wonder why the formulas are so bitter and the mother sweet mother milk is so
Oh,
sweet.
yeah,
It's
interesting.
yeah, it's a baby's formula because I was breastfeeding my kids and my um sister-in-law. She couldn't she couldn't like breastfeed for she just breastfeeded for 1 month or something, and later on she had to use the formula. And once I tasted it, and it was just awful. And I said, like,
Oh, how interesting.
how the kid can
Yeah.
survive this
Yeah.
taste, you know?
Wonder what it does to them.
I don't want to think about that,
Yeah,
you
really.
know, really, because it's the first food.
Yeah.
Actually, if you don't, that's an interesting also. Hildegard said if you cannot breastfeed your child, then you should be using the goat's milk.
Oh, interesting.
So that was that's also, but the
Uh-huh.
goat's milk usually treats the lungs. So everyone or a person that has like a lung problem and doesn't have healthy lungs, then he can be drinking regularly goat's milk just to heal them. So it's one of her
Interesting. Mm.
recipes. Yeah. So the time is over.
Okay.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We get
Thanks
to
for
see
doing
each
this.
other on on the 18th.
Yes.
Hope to see you there. We will continue with some more foods. And I wish you a wonderful day, a beautiful
Thank you.
spring.
You too. Yes. Yeah, spring is here.
Wonderful. So have a great time
Thank
and a
you.
great
Thanks.
day. Ciao.
Yeah,
Bye
you too.
bye.
Ciao.